Hello and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. So today I will be doing a recap of the Queen's Court. Okay. And hey, Linda Gamble, thank you so much for being here. Could you let me know if you can hear me okay? Put a 1 in the chat, Miss Linda, if you can hear me okay. Okay, perfect. So let's get into it. And first off, I want to say that the host, Holly, she made a good point. It's hard to reinvent yourself at 40 and 50 years old. And she is absolutely correct about that. So my hat is off to these ladies for taking this big step to find love. Because these are not no spring chickens. These are ladies that, are a little bit older. So they stepped out on faith to find love. Hey, Sound Check Annette, thank you so much for being here. And the first thing I want to discuss, because I'm not going to really go in chronological order. When I decided that I wanted to review this show and I used my network platform Peacock, I thought that it would be one episode at a time. So I was very surprised when it actually gave you all 10 episodes. So you could watch all the episodes at one time. So I decided to do just that and pretty much recap the entire 10 episodes, very briefly because I am at work and on my lunch break. So it won't be long, but there was just some key points that I did want to talk about during my recap. And I'm going to start off by talking about the scene where Lisa Ray, um, she had the opportunity to ask two guys out on a date, and the guy that she chose, she recognized this guy, and she only asked him out on a date because she realized that this guy had dated her daughter at some point in time. It wasn't anytime recently, it was, a while back, maybe even 10 years ago, but it was, a long time ago. So she never knew what happened with that relationship. So she only asked him out on a date just so that she could get clarity on what happened in that situation. So, and I personally think that she handled the situation like a mature grown woman. At first, I kind of felt some kind of way because that was her daughter's personal business that they ended up discussing. But what he shared with her is that the reason why her daughter and him broke up was that she found out that she was pregnant and she didn't want to keep the baby because she didn't want to disappoint her mom, you know. And when he shared this story with Lisa, he did start crying. Like he was very, very emotional. And she cried as well. And she said, I can absolutely believe that because the same thing happened to Lisa Ray. When she was much younger, she got pregnant and she had an abortion because she did not want to tell her mom that she was pregnant. So she secretly got an abortion. So that was something that she could actually relate to with her daughter. And she could at this point see why she would do that. And although her daughter does have a child now, and she's very happy and proud of her granddaughter, at that point in time, it just wasn't the right time. And she didn't want to disappoint her mom. So ultimately, that's what ended the relationship with her and this particular guy, Norman. So after all of that was revealed, when they went to the first dinner where they would, you know, um, let somebody go. She did let Norman go and she did tell him that she wished him the best. Although she did say that if he had an attraction for one of the girls, London or Kay Michelle, that he should definitely pursue that. But after telling them what had happened, obviously neither one of them wanted to touch that because obviously, I mean, I wouldn't really want to date this guy after knowing that, he was in a relationship with Lisa Ray's daughter. So they chose to let him go or whatever the case may be. Hey, Simone Wealthy, thank you so much for being here, sis. And so that was the end of Norman. He seemed to be a really nice guy, and he was very hurt when, he did have to have this conversation with Lisa. But ultimately, it just would have made everything uncomfortable. So it was probably the best decision to let Norman go. Hey, Toot Latrice, thank you so much for being here, sis. So they all chose their two dates. One of the guys that K Michelle chose was this white guy named Jack. And Jack used to be a pastor at some point. So they actually went on an outdoor adventure to, it was almost like a zoo. There was giraffes, there was pigs, there were all kinds of animals or whatever the case may be. And Zach was calling all of the animals fool. Like he was like, look at this fool, look at that fool. And K Michelle felt some kind of way about that because she has been in an abusive relationship at some point, and she just felt like if at any point he slipped and called her a fool, like she would be over it. And also, that was one of the terms that the guy, who abused her used. He used to call her a fool. So she wasn't feeling that about Zach at all. So she did, sit Zach down and had a conversation with him, and he understood how that could be triggering for her. So, he apologized and said that, he wouldn't use those type of triggering words. Hey, kicking it with Courtney. Thank you so much for being here, sis. So, that was a situation with old Jack. And she really did kind of feel it for Jack. But after she did kind of see Jack talking to London. I'm going to call her London because that's the name that she chose to use for the show. We all know that she's better known as Delicious, but just, out of respect for her and how she wanted to be noticed on this show, we'll call her London. So she kind of, you know, pushed Zach to the corner. But guess what? London was right there to pick Zach up. And right now, since we do have a few people in here, I want to know who all seen the show. Put a 1 in the chat if you seen Queen's Court, and put a 2 in the chat if you did not see Queen's Court. I know some of you seen it. I know Courtney started watching it. How many of you ladies seen Queen's Court? Just so that I can get a good idea of how. Okay, great. So Simone Wealthy said she's seen it. Toot Latrice, did you ever get a chance to watch it? And what about you, Sound Check Annette? So I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Sound Check Annette says 2, so she didn't get a chance to watch it. And Courtney and Simone, what did you guys think when K Michelle said that she wanted a man? She wanted somebody with a man butt and a mullet. And I mean, I've kind of heard the word term mullet, so I kind of know what that looks like. But I need some clarification about what she meant about man butt, because I personally have seen just about the same amount of different variations of, man butts, so I'm not really sure what she was trying to say about that. But anyway, I thought that was kind of hilarious. And it looks like K Michelle kind of took the advice of Holly, the host. She told her that, keep her mind open and be open to, all different kind of options. Don't settle, just, keep an open mind. And I think she really did that because the men that K Michelle decided to date, they all were different nationalities, they were different personalities. Hey, love, seen her. Thank you for being here, sis. So I think she really did take the advice of Holly, and she was just all over the place. Now, I'm going to ask this early on, and then I'll have a follow up question in the end. If you could choose one of the ladies, which one of the ladies kind of had your dating style? And let me know. your answer to that question while I move on. Who has your dating style? I can say for myself personally, I would say K Michelle because I am open to, I'm keeping my options open when that time comes. So I'm open to other, other nationalities and things like that. So I can totally see where she was going with that. And Simone Wealthy said, laugh out loud. K Michelle be joking and serious at the same time. I really like her now. You can tell she has done the work. Oh my gosh, Simone Wealthy. It's funny that you say that because when it comes to K Michelle, like I've never really been into her music. Not that she doesn't make great music. There was a couple of songs that I do remember that I can say, oh, I really like, but I never like bought one of her albums. I just never really got into her. And then the first time I believe my opinion about K Michelle started changing is when she was on that show with people who had bad, you know, um, plastic surgery when she was the host on that show. And that's when I seen a different side of her. And that's when I started to see that she was a really nice person. And then on this show, I absolutely love her personality. Okay, so Simone said Lisa Ray and K Michelle has her dating style. And I would then say that Lisa Ray would be my second choice as far as dating styles. And Lil Seen Heard said she's driving but listening. Hey, it's Tay T. Thank you for being here, sis. Because later on, ladies, I don't want you to answer right now because I want you to think about it a little bit. But I am going to ask you, ladies, since it's all girls here from what I see, if you could choose one out of the 22 guys, because remember, they had to choose between 22 men. That's a lot of men. But I can say that on the second season of Queen's Court, those were some great choices. Like they had some great choices when it came to men. So, you know what I'm saying? They had a hard decision to make because they had great options. And it's Tay T says that she loves K Michelle's music. Okay. And like I said, there was a few songs that I can say that I really enjoyed, but I just never got into K Michelle. And I think too is because to me, she kind of reminded me a little bit of like Tamar because she was always in conflict. She was always getting into it with women. You know what I'm saying? So, she kind of stayed off the radar for me. Give me 1 second, guys. So she did kind of stay off the radar for me. But like I said, after I seen that one show, I kind of liked her. And Simone Wealthy says country music. Yes. So she did share on this episode that she did perform at the CMAs, which is awesome. I mean, I know there's lots of, Black women that have performed, but the two that I personally know, which is it's only two, is Beyonce and K Michelle. And she did say that they told her that she wouldn't be able to make it in the country industry because she was Black. But right now, she just recently put out some new country music because at this point, now that she's seasoned, she's pretty much doing what she wants to do. And Simone Wealthy said that was a great group of men, wasn't it though? And Love Seen Her, did you get a chance to watch the show? And Simone Wealthy said yes, during KM's LHH days, she was irritating. Love and Hip Hop, was it? Because I only seen her on this show and then the botched surgery show. I didn't see her on any other shows. Now, what did you ladies that seen the show, what did you think about the fact that London kept picking up the men that K Michelle was putting down? Like how would you feel about that if you were, in this type of position on a dating show, whatever, and the same person kept, wanting to date the guys that you were dating? Would you feel some kind of way about that? Like, I thought it was odd and it made London look a little bit desperate, but she was right when she said, one man's, king, might be for somebody else, basically saying he might not be right for her, but he could definitely be right for me. And it's Tay T said, yes, K Michelle was wild on reality TV, but I was listening to her music before then. Okay, gotcha. Okay, and so it was Love and Hip Hop. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that she had been on that show, but I'm glad she got off that show because that's probably where she got that ratchet reputation, from. And now that she's not on that show anymore, she seems so nice, so wholesome, and like Simone Wealthy said, she did the work. Okay, got it. And next, I want to talk about so after they went on all of these dates, they were given this gold chip. So they were supposed to give the gold chip to one guy that they wanted to move inside of the house. So, of course, um, Lisa Ray had her chip, and she was talking to all the guys, and they were all trying to convince her to give them their chip. But then when she had a conversation with Booker, who I really actually like, Booker actually snatched the chip out of her hand and didn't even give her a chance to give it to him. But, at least, he stepped his game up, and, he was kind of aggressive with going after what he wanted. So she kind of liked that. And she allowed him to actually keep the chip. And Holly kind of like gave him his props for that because, sometimes women love when a man is a little bit aggressive and goes after what they want. And Simone Wealthy said, London is not adding up. She says she wants to be taken seriously, but comes off too nice dinner parties dressed like a stripper. Oh my gosh, Simone. Um, I was trying not to bring it up, but since you brought it up, those outfits that London had on, Delicious, I can say that there was maybe one or two that I was okay with, but for the most part, all of the outfits that she wore was too revealing. Then she had the nerve to feel some kind of way about the dentist, the guy from, I think he was from Africa or something like that, because she said he was over sexualized and, everything about him was all physical. But you get what you give. And I'm not saying just because you dress provocative that, a man, should, it's a problem if they, say something because you should be able to dress any way you want to dress. But you can't dress with everything showing, not leaving anything to the imagination. And then when men respond to that, you have a problem with it. Like, leave something to the imagination. And not only were they revealing, they were just in poor taste. Like, they weren't nice at all. I mean, they looked like something she got from Shein or somewhere. They just did not look like they were of good quality. And it's Tay T said, I think they shouldn't be on that show. Like, I don't think Lisa really want a man. London and K Michelle, I think wasting those men time. And we're gonna get to that. It's Tay T. So this is how I felt. London, I thought it was a little bit too much because I'm not sure if you guys know, but London, her husband left her in February of 2022, and then they got a divorce in October, and he just walked out. And she said that she never spoke to him again after that day. So, and she talked about it a lot on the show. And I understand that's her story and she should be able to talk about it, but it's kind of like a downer to talk about your ex so much when you're trying to meet a new man. It's just not a good idea. So I just wish she would have talked about her ex a little less. And not only that, there's two sides to a story. And I felt like she blasted him on social media, which I didn't like. And he was just silent. And I still believe that he has a story and he just chose to take the high road and not blast her on social media. But I'm pretty sure it was a reason why this man walked out and never looked back. Maybe she was a gold digger. She was spending up too much of his money. I don't know. She's been labeled that in the past. You know what I'm saying? And then, she says she's thought about like moving on from the delicious, persona. But at the same time, that's really all she has. Because if you think about it, what does Delicious do outside of being a social media influencer? And it's Tate said, London, not even over that last man. I don't think she's over him either because she talked about him like so much. And Simone Wealthy said, London is seeking attention. Most of her outfit choices were Absamel. Okay. That's a new word for me. I never seen that word. She is 46, sexy, trashy in her style. Yes, I do think that she really does need to tone it down a little bit. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. And Simone Wealthy also said, yes, I would love to hear his side. Absolutely. And I think that really showed his level of maturity, that he really didn't lash back out on her and he just let her say whatever she wanted to say. And she really tried to make him look bad, you know. And maybe he could have handled the situation a little bit differently. But again, we don't know his side of the story. And it's Tay T said, Flavor Flav, really, London? Her feelings were hurt when he didn't pick her like girl. Huh. I thought Flavor Flav did pick London, but I could be wrong. That show was so long ago. And Simone Welty said, yes, she is not over her ex. She cries each time she speaks of him. And don't get me wrong, but 2020, I mean, it's been 2 years. I mean, at this point, and I'm not saying, how long it should take somebody to get over their pain, but she ought to be able to have a conversation without crying, especially when you're out. If you're still emotional about your ex, maybe you shouldn't be trying to go on a dating show. Maybe you shouldn't be trying to date at this point. Maybe you need more time. And she said, that's horrible. He picked Nikki who? Oh, New York. Oh, Nikki Hoops. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure of who that is. Now, did you guys hear when K Michelle said that she got into 3 accidents in one day? I was like, what the hell? You wrecked 3 different cars in one day? Girl, you really don't need to get back behind the wheel. And if you do, you need to send out an alert so everybody knows to get off the road. That is absolutely ridiculous. 3 accidents in one day. And Simone Wealthy says, I agree. She needs to go through some therapy. Definitely. And it's Tay T said, right. Now, let me ask you ladies this. This question may sound a little crazy, but does any one of you ladies eat ice? Do you have like an ice addiction, or do you know somebody in your family that eats ice, that is addicted to eating ice? This is random, but I was very curious because London shared that with the dentist that she had an ice addiction. And she said she just came back from the dentist. So I was wondering if, because I do have a family member that's addicted to eating ice, and if in some kind of way it damages your teeth. Simone Wealthy said, laugh out loud, I wouldn't get no vehicle with K Michelle. Exactly. She cannot drive. And it's Tay T said her niece. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this live has a family member that has an ice addiction. And I'm like curious, like, what is it about the ice? She says her friend eats ice. Maybe it's just a nervous type of addiction or something like that. But according to Delicious, it calls her to have to go to the dentist. So make sure you tell them to be careful when eating the ice. Now, so next we're going to talk about the meeting of the families. So Lisa Ray, she had she had well no, we're going to talk about the the people that the men brought to meet their families. So David brought his friend, and Lisa Ray had a great experience meeting his friend. David's friend talked about how he was there for him when his mother had cancer. And even though he had finals, he brought his computer over and he just was really there for him when his mother went through cancer. So that really, really impressed Lisa Ray about David, because she realized that even though he's a jokester, he always has jokes, a fun guy, he also has a softer side, and he's very reliable when it comes to being there for you. And she also had a good experience with Booker's friend. But I think what she picked on by meeting Booker's friend is that he's all work and no play. And she was able to see that, that's what she's been suspecting all the time, is that he doesn't know how to have fun. So his friend was pretty much telling her that he needs somebody like you. So that pretty much confirmed what she was already thinking, that he's just not a fun guy. And Simone Wealthy said, yes, I think it's a nervous thing. Okay. And Toot Latrice says, eating ice could be low iron too. Okay. I'm gonna check into that for my family member that has a ice eating addiction. Okay. And then Charles. So Lisa Ray also met one of Charles's friends. And I don't know about you ladies, but I just really didn't see it for Charles. He could have went home once he got there, because he was just so awkward for me. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a very successful man, or whatever the case may be. But the fact that Charles did not know his way around the kitchen, he says he's never cooked before, and now that he's on this dating show, he called his brother and told his brother that's a chef that he wanted him to give him cooking lessons. Like, dude, I mean, at some point you didn't think that you were going to need to know how to cook, if for nothing else, to be able to feed yourself. So I thought that was a little awkward. He was just awkward all the way around. And Lisa really did try to give him a chance, but I don't know. He was just too awkward. So K Michelle, she met um one of Nasha's friends, and that kind of made her realize that they might not be that compatible, because the first thing he said, because she asked him, what is the difference between dating, a man from Nigeria and a man from America, or whatever the case may be. And he did say that Nigerian men like their woman to be very domesticated and pretty much cook all of their meals. K Michelle put it out there from the jump that, she's not going to be that person. She's very busy. She's very independent. So she's not going to be that domesticated woman that's going to be cooking all of your meals. Okay. So that was a red flag for her. And then when she met Andre's friend that he's known for probably about 3 years, she mentioned that, they were very close. They talk on the phone for hours and hours. And she did mention that, somebody he was trying to date had a problem. I really feel like, that friend, who just happens to be a woman, came there to sabotage his relationship with K Michelle. She said all of the wrong things. Okay. It was like she wanted to sabotage it, because she knew that if he ended up with K Michelle, he would have to cut her off. No questions asked. So everything she said, it was just like she wanted to put that doubt in K Michelle's head that they had slept together. Even though he said they were just friends, they never slept together. she knew that everything she shared would put that doubt in her head. And it did. And that was definitely a red flag for her. So she also met Ben's, a friend of Ben's. So I actually like Ben, but one of the red flags for her with Ben is the fact that even though he's adopted and they related on the fact that K Michelle wants to adopt a child, he said that if he started over, he would be 60, and that was just too late in the game to start over. So he really didn't want to have any more kids. And at this point, I believe he has 3 kids already. So that was a red flag for K Michelle. And I'm breaking all of this down because you're going to see how these ladies came up with the decision that they came up with at the end of the show. And I can't believe that Andre would be so lame to bring a friend girl to the show, as if she wasn't going to think something about that. And so London met Tracy's dad, and for her, he kind of, won some brownie points because his dad shared with London, even though he lied to her, that the reason why he got out of the military is because his then girlfriend got pregnant and he wanted to get out to raise his son and be there for his son. Now, London and him had that same conversation, and she asked him why he got out of the military. And he told her that it was because he wanted to pursue a career in videography. Now, I do understand that when you're first meeting somebody, I mean, you don't want to share everything, especially, because you might not end up with that person. But even though it was a red flag that he lied to her about that situation, it did make him look good because he's a very honorable guy and he wanted to be there to raise his son. And Simone Wealthy says, "Oh, yeah, old girl definitely came for the sabotage. Get away from my friend, man. Game plan." And I was just like, she didn't even try to hide the fact. It was to the point where even K Michelle said, "It seems like you guys are really compatible. Like, why don't you guys date?" You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what she wanted. Like, she knew exactly what she was doing. Like, but that was his fault. Like, he should have invited a guy. Like, you don't have any other guy friends that you could have invited. You had to invite this one particular girl, you know. And then the fact that she came right out the gate admitting that they spend hours and hours on the phone. And she also said this, which sabotaged him. She said he's the type of person that you have to encourage all of the time. Like, why would you say that? Like, he's trying to make Michelle think that he's going to be there for her. He's got her back. He's going to protect her. And then now you come along and you say that this man needs to be encouraged on almost everything that he does. Like, boy, that was really a sabotage, Simone Wealthy. She couldn't have done a worse job. I think I would quit talking to her just for that reason alone. And Love Seen Her says, "I have watched 2 or 3 episode 3, but I agree, London is not ready." Absolutely. So again, once London met Tracy's dad, he was handsome, and she was like, "Yeah, I could see, being with Tracy because of where he comes from, his good background, being in the military, and things like that." But on the other hand, she met Zeus's friend, and she got a sense from Zeus's friend that he is who he says he is, which is an overall great guy. So that's what she got from meeting Zeus's friend. Now, Zach's brother, even though Zach was no longer on the show because he got sick and he ended up having, I think it's vertigo, if any of you ladies are familiar with that. So he actually went to the hospital, so he had to leave the show. So when it came time for his visit, his brother came, and showed up. Now, Zach's brother looks like his twin. They're not twins, but everybody thought it was Zach that had returned with a haircut and maybe like a makeover. That's just how much he looked like Zach. So basically, he shared with London that, he found out that he had vertigo and he had some type of hemoglobin um, situation, disease, or something like that, where he has to give his blood, every few months or whatever the case may be. So at first, she thought that he knew that he had vertigo before he actually came to the show. And vertigo is, from my understanding, is associated with high blood pressure. I think my brother-in-law has vertigo. So, and he was like, no, he never had that before. He just found out that that's what he had. So Zach did end up coming back to the show, but it was just to say goodbye to London. And of course, she felt really, really bad, and she felt like she should have been there more for Zach during that experience. And she really just thought he was putting on, he was faking because he didn't like being in competition with the other guys. But that guy was literally sick for real. So she felt really bad about that. So when he came back to say goodbye, they shared some really great hugs. And, I think that these ladies are going to keep in touch with a lot of these men because, again, they had some great choices. And I can see where even if they didn't decide on the show that they wanted to be with these guys, I think that they're going to follow up with them and maybe get to know them a little bit more outside of the show. And that's just my feeling about that. Now, when it comes to meeting the ladies' families, so London brought she brought her daughter. No, I'm sorry, she didn't bring her daughter. London brought just some family. I'm not sure who all those people were. She brought several family members with her to meet the guys. And Simone Wealthy said, in my opinion, London wants street dudes. I think her attraction to Zach was scripted. Zach over talked her and K Michelle a lot. You know, I could see the initial attraction for Zach, but it went left really quick because it just seems like Zach has a bad attitude and it started to come out. And for whatever reason, K Michelle and London, they were really chasing after those white guys hard. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because, again, I keep my options open. I'm open to dating a white guy. That's not a big deal. But they were almost fighting over those white guys. Like, I couldn't believe it. You got all of these good looking, successful black men, and you ladies are fighting over these less than stellar white guys. I mean, I couldn't believe it, but hey, whatever floats your boat. So Zeus won a lot of points with London when he brought her a gift. It was a little statue and a keychain that had a picture of her niece that passed away in that college shooting. I'm not sure if you ladies remember that, but London had a niece that was shot in that college shooting. I forget exactly where it was, but that was really, really sad when that happened. And Simone Wealthy said, and the other clear dude was tick tock boom. Exactly. His name was Chris. Like, I mean, I could see the initial attraction, but what K Michelle said to London is basically, I'm gonna let London find out for herself because every time K Michelle decided to let a guy go, I could clearly see why. I mean, the proof was in the pudding. But for whatever reason, London wanted to play, savior and pick these men up every time, K Michelle put them down. So K Michelle was just like, okay, I'll just let her see for herself. And that's exactly what she did. And London had to ultimately admit that K Michelle was right about those two men. Now, she did patch up things with Zach, but Chris, he was like Simone Wealthy said, a ticking time bomb. And Simone Wealthy said it was either Michigan State or Michigan University. So sad. Okay, so you do remember when that happened. Yes, and it was a white guy, and it was a pretty much seemed like a predominantly white school because most of the other kids that were shot were Caucasian. And so I think Tracy was a little taken aback because Zeus was on his game when he bought that gift. And that gift also made her family feel some kind of way because, the whole family suffered when, her niece passed away. So that kind of tore at their heartstrings as well. But they did seem to like Tracy. And when, they asked the family ultimately had to choose which one of the men. London had two men that she was choosing from. So their families had to choose somebody for them to go out on a final date with. So the family chose Tracy because they said that he was a little bit more, they could just see that he was a genuinely good guy, and they were a little worried about the fact that Zeus was an actor, and they just felt like he could have been putting on, or whatever the case may be, although they did like him. So Lisa Ray, of course, she invited her sister. Now I don't know if that's her blood sister. There's been a little talk about whether they were really sisters or whether they had something going on. I never got clarity on that, but the brat was there to meet with these guys and let Lisa Ray know what she thought. So she asked David, she says, my sister has very expensive taste. What if she told you that she wanted a ring that cost 10K? And David's answer was that he would put on a mask. You know what I'm saying? Like he was going to go and rob a place to get her that 10K diamond ring. And I said to myself, right answer, because like, why would you ask me that question? So I thought that was pretty hilarious, for the question that was asked of him. And Kicking It with Courtney said they have the same father, I think. I think I heard that as well. Um, and don't get me wrong, but was Tasha K the one that put out that that Lisa Ray and the brat had a relationship going on? Because I'm trying to think of where that rumor started from. And if I'm not mistaken, Tasha K could have been the one that put out that rumor with her messy ratchet ass. But anyway, so yeah, that's what David said. And I'm kind of Booker, he's kind of the one that's laid back, too serious, and her big red flag for him is that he's not fun enough to be able to compete with her childlike fun personality. So the brat's feedback, to Lisa Ray was, I don't think he'll be able to handle you. Like you're gonna get bored with Booker really quick. Now, for me, I felt like Lisa Ray had two great choices when it comes to men. Now, I'm going to flip back to that other question that I asked you ladies. We're going to have a little girl chat for a quick moment. Now, out of all of the men that you met on the show, all of the kings, which one of the kings would you see yourself, attracted to, or who you would choose? Now, if you're married, your secret is safe with me. We're just having a little, girl chat. So, which one of the guys did you personally like out of the 22 guys that appeared on this show? And Kicking It with Courtney said, if she did, it's a lie. Exactly. And it's Tay said, yes, they are half siblings. Now, what did you guys hear about Lisa Ray's father? And it's Tay says, yes, they have the same father. None. And I'm pretty sure it's Tay, that's probably because you're married. Because, like, I'm sure out of those 22 men, you had to, have some type of something for one of them. And Simone Wealthy said Booker. Now, Simone, we got very similar taste in men. I would have said Booker too, but I got the same problem that Lisa Ray got with Booker. He's too serious. He's too laid back. I like to have fun. And, he said that he likes to have fun too. But when it comes to him stepping up to, take care of his responsibilities, sometimes he has to put fun to the side. Like, he can't always have fun when there's work to be done. But Booker is so sophisticated. I mean, Booker really does something to me. He's a very handsome, fine guy. And he's Jamaican. And it's Tay said, oh, the 22, I only seen, yes. They started out the first set of men, I think it was seven. Then they went from seven to six. I think they had two sets of six. Then they had five, then four, something like that. But yes, in total, it was 22 guys all together. And it's KT also said, okay, I didn't see all of them. Yes, there were a lot of men and a lot of great choices. And Simone said, I'll set up the activities for us to have fun. Yes, but what if he doesn't want to take the time off work? You know what I'm saying? You know, some guys, and that leads me to K Michelle's guy. Is it Posh? Gosh, what's that dude's name? The one that K Michelle, um, the one from Nigeria. I think it was Posh. Now, he's a very handsome guy. He can sing, and I think that he wants to date K Michelle because he wants her to help him with his music career. And I could see where he would try to use K Michelle. His name was Nosh. So the thing with Nosh, he was very handsome, all that stuff too, but he was late for 2 dates. And when he did that, like when you decided to be on this show, like you can't be in and out, one foot in the door and one foot out. She got over the fact that he was late for a date. He showed up, you know, late or whatever. So he did come. So he saved himself. But when her family was there, you decided that you wanted to be late. That would have, to me, that would have took him out of the running for me. I'm sorry, you don't embarrass me in front of my family, you know. So he had a habit of showing up late, just not being there when he needed to be there. And Simone said, David would be nice too, but I'm feeling player with him. You know what? So I think that my first choice would be David. And the reason why I say that, Simone, is because initially I could see where David gave off that player vibe. But when I met his friend and he talked about, you know, how David was there for him when his mother was going through cancer, you know, I could see that he's a really stand up guy, really. And she's seen that in him as well. So if I had to choose, it would probably be David. And David is so smooth. Like when they were riding the four wheelers and he was sitting behind her and he protected her from the tree branches and everything like that. And then he even stole a kiss and he did it so smoothly, like she didn't even see it coming. So David is sexy. David is fun and he has a swag about him that is undeniable. So for me, it would be David. Hey, Mama Bees, thank you so much for being here, sis, in the bushes. Thank you so much. So yeah, and nobody else answered, so I guess they didn't see it for any of the 22 guys that were on the show. But I definitely thought that the girls had some great options when it came to the men that were on the show. For Lisa Ray, like she only had eyes pretty much for Booker and David. So let's go ahead and speed along to the end of the show. So at the end of the show, when it came down to it, Lisa Ray had Booker and David. So Lisa Ray decided to leave alone. She didn't choose a guy because she just lost her mom 6 months ago and she just didn't feel like she was ready to start dating. She got emotional a lot when she spoke about her mom. So she just wanted to give herself a little bit more time to just, you know, grieve the death of her mom. But I think that Lisa Ray was torn between those two guys. And I think that she wanted to continue to date David and Booker behind the scenes. And I don't blame her. I would have made the same choice. Now, and Simone Wealthy says, I'm trying to get the whole Nigerian scammer thing out of my head, though. Outside of that, Nosh seems cool. And when Nosh came up with that song for K Michelle, that really gave him some points with me. And I'm pretty sure it did for her as well. But it seems like that Nosh would probably try to be in competition with K Michelle. And I think that's a red flag for him. Now, K Michelle, she ended at the end of the show she had Andre. as well as Ben, I want to say. No, I'm sorry. She got rid of Ben. She had Andre and Nosh. So K Michelle also decided to leave alone. She just was not ready to make a decision. Again, I think she's going to keep in touch with all of those men and, just figure out what she wants to do at a later time. However, London chose Zeus. So that was the man that she ultimately chose as her king, which is not a bad choice. Zeus is a very handsome man and he seems to be very successful. And he seems like that he is definitely a protector. So I wasn't mad at her choice at all. Tracy seemed to be a little bit stalkerish when he told her that he wanted to drive her around, like drive me around. Like, when are you going to work if you're constantly driving me around? So he seemed to be a little bit too clingy for me, Tracy. So if I had to choose between Zeus and Tracy, I personally definitely would have chosen Zeus. Okay. So, yes. So, like I said, those ladies had some great choices. And did you guys know that K Michelle went to FAMU? Go Rattlers. Y'all already know I live in Florida. I have, let me see, three nieces that went to FAMU. One of my nieces was homecoming queen. I love FAMU. So yes, K Michelle went to FAMU and she actually won a scholarship for yodeling. Have you ever heard of anybody getting a scholarship for yodeling? I didn't even know that was a thing until she mentioned it on the show. So that was pretty cool. And just something else I learned about K Michelle that I had no idea that she had going on. Because again, I think K Michelle is a really nice and pleasant person. So that's why you really have to get to know people before passing judgment. Because sometimes if you just, hear things from other people, you could definitely have a different experience than what you've heard about a person. And yeah. So, guys, that's going to be the end of my review. And if you have not watched all of the episodes, make sure you go back and watch because there was a lot of, you know, um, funny moments on the show. I really love the way that Holly and her husband, that they were color coordinating their outfits and they really know how to dress. I loved all of their color coordinated outfits. And I also love the music that was on the show. The music vibe was everything. So I really like that show. And I look forward to the next Queen's Court, you know, and it's KT says, yes, I'll have to go back. Yes, definitely go back and watch because there was a lot of funny moments. Like when Lisa, not Lisa Ray, London was twerking, which we all knew she couldn't get through that show without getting her some twerk in. And when she did that, when she was, doing that, K Michelle asked her if her back hurt. And I thought that was kind of awkward because K Michelle, at one point, you had a butt that was bigger than hers, until you had to get rid of it because your body rejected it and you started being sick. If it wasn't for that, you would probably have that BBL to this day. So again, there was a lot of funny moments on the show, and it's an overall great show. So if you didn't have a chance to watch all 10 episodes, make sure you do. Once I started watching, I couldn't stop watching. So I actually ended up, just watching all 10 of the episodes because I'm like, there's no way I can see these episodes coming up and I'm just going to say, look, I'm just going to watch this one episode and wait a week and watch another one. No, I don't work that way. So I watch all 10 episodes at one time, and I just happen to have the time to do so. So I really, enjoyed the show. So, ladies, that is going to be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have not done so already, please like the video. And I'm going to get back to work. And thank you so much for watching. And bye for now.